So the do now for today says list everything you know about the shape formed by the equation x squared plus y squared equals 5 squared. And just a hint, I think you should be able to write down at least 3 things really quickly. So pause your do now so you can do that, and we'll go over it in a second. All right, first off, I think the first thing maybe is even like a little too easy and you forgot about it, but the shape itself is a circle. And you can tell it's a circle when you have the x squared and the y squared in the same equation. That usually tells you it's a circle. So now, if it's a circle, it means that there's 2 important things to worry about here: the center and the radius. So based on yesterday, you guys remember that if it's just regular x squared and regular y squared like that, then the center is the origin, 0, 0. And then the radius is going to be this number here, but it's the 5. It's not the squared, so it's going to be x squared plus y squared equals the radius squared. So in this case, the radius is 5. So if you wanted to do like a quick sketch of this, not the worst circle I've ever drawn, not the best either, but the center's right here, and the radius is going to be 5. So today we're going to practice with the circle equation, and we're going to practice going from the equation to finding the center and radius, and starting with the center and radius and then writing the equation. And we're going to practice a little more of that on Wednesday and Thursday as well. Also note that your assignment for Wednesday and Thursday is going to be done on Delta Math. So make sure you go over to Delta Math and figure that out in those 2 days. And there won't be an Edpuzzle video for those either. All right, so with these, we're going to be given the equation, and we're going to have to find the center and the radius. So first, I'm going to write down the general equation for this. So if you start with the center of hk, just any coordinates for x is h, any coordinate for y is k, and a radius of r, then the general circle equation is, in parentheses, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. Now, 2 important things to note here. First, with this x minus and y minus, what it essentially does to these coordinates of the center is it changes the sign. So if we look at the first equation, or up here on the top left, where it has x minus 2, this means that the center, the y coordinate, is actually going to be a positive 2. Because if you think x minus and then this number is just a 2. Now here, if it says y plus 3, you could also rewrite that as y minus negative 3. And that's why the y coordinate is negative 3. So the center is 2, negative 3, which means goodbye choice 3, goodbye choice 1. Now, for the radius, the important part here is whatever's on the end of this equation is the radius squared. So in this one, we don't see a squared. This just says 36. So if you just see that, what you need to do to find the radius is, you know that 36 equals the radius squared because that is the right side of the equation here. So what you need to do is take the square root on both sides, and you'll find that the radius is 6. So here's our answer, choice 2. Pause your video now to try the second problem as well. Okay, so hopefully you got the right answer here, but let's check it real quick. The center, remember we're going to change the signs of this. So instead of negative 5, that's positive 5. Instead of positive 3, that's negative 3. And we have to take the square root of this to find the radius. The radius is going to be 4. So our answer is 5, negative 3 for the center and 4 for the radius, which is choice 4. Now, in these equations, what we have to do is we're given the center and we're given the radius, and we need to make an equation out of it. So I choose to ignore the multiple choice answers for the time being and just try to write it right off the bat first, okay? So, first off, here's your x coordinate for the center, here's your y coordinate. So we're going to use these, we're going to change the sign, so it's x minus 7 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals, and then we do the radius squared, so 4 squared. Now, this might be an answer choice. This could be something that you see. It's possible and it's totally fine. Or the other way you could see it is with the same stuff in the front, but they may actually square this 4 squared and give you 16 instead. So, with this one, we look through it and we find our answer choices. The answer choice for this one is number 3, because it has 16. Now, it is not choice 1, and a lot of people will pick choice 1 because they see the 4 for the radius, but remember, this needs to be 4 squared, but it's not 4 squared. It's just regular old 4. So in this case, the radius is actually 2, not 4. All right, now for this question down below, we already have the center, so let's plug in the center. So we have x plus 3, changing the sign, squared, plus y minus 2, change that sign, squared, equals, and then we're given that the diameter is 10. But remember, our formula deals with the radius, and we want to get that to the radius. So remember, to find the radius from the diameter, you have to divide by 2. So in this case, the radius is 5, and do the radius squared, it's 5 squared. Or you could also write it like x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 25. Either one's acceptable. They're both totally fine. You may see this written more often because they're trying to trick you with this part and make you think the radius is 25. I kind of prefer this one more often because it really shows you it comes from the Pythagorean theorem with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So once you finish your work, you'll be posed with this reflection question. And on this reflection question, you're asked to find the similarities and the differences between these two circle equations. Now, the one thing I think you should probably all know to think about by now is think about the center and the radius of both of these. That's the way you compare circles, is you look at their centers and you look at their radii. And don't forget, your Delta Math is due Friday at the beginning of class.